Well, hey there, and thanks for stopping by Living Grace Fellowship's YouTube or website or Facebook or however it is that you're seeing this. Thanks for just showing up for us. And I wanted to share some news with you. For the last 5 years, I, Pastor Judah, have been intricately involved in the leadership here at Living Grace Fellowship. I started off as an intern, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and just excited about what God was doing in my life and in the life of the church. And I also did my residency here where I served for 2 years. And then I stepped into other leadership positions, and I was commissioned as the youth and young adults pastor. And following that, I was ordained and I became an associate pastor. And then when my predecessor, the Honorable Michael Vance Swaggerty, was ready to retire, I was installed as the lead pastor. And it has been an incredible journey. And I just can't tell you how proud I am of the work that we've done together in the last 5 years and of what God has done with and in and through this ministry. Man, we have continued in our tradition of making sure that the gospel goes global, producing content that folks from all over the world tune in to listen to and to participate in, folks in the Philippines, folks in Kenya, folks in Singapore. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the incredible community events that we've put on, like our Mother's Day Teas, which have become bigger and bigger each year thanks to the leadership of folks like Kairos Chiagi and B. Williams. I'm proud of the ministry that we've done for young people, despite the fact that our church does not have a huge population of young people, and yet still we've been one of the sponsoring churches of our regional camp, SEP Tahoe. We've scholarshiped hundreds of kids to go to those camps and encounter God in a special way. We've taken our youth and our young adults abroad in missional and humanitarian trips to places like Bogota, Colombia, and Canada. I'm proud that we've invested in our young people in ways that I think are meaningful. So when I look back on the last 5 years and just, again, what God has done with us and in us and through us, I get so excited and I'm so very proud. I also recognize that things are sometimes seasonal. And so with that being said, I wanted you to know that I have officially resigned as the lead pastor of Living Grace Fellowship, effective September 1st of 2020. I will remain in an advisory and consultant capacity engaged with the leadership of the church to help facilitate a really healthy and smooth transition, but I have resigned. And often when a pastor resigns in a way that feels sudden, it's often because something terrible has happened. Maybe the pastor has had a huge conflict with his leadership team, and the conflict is beyond the point of resolution and reconciliation, and so he or she is resigning for that reason. Maybe the pastor has had a moral failing, and he or she is being terminated, and perhaps just they're allowing him or her to exit gracefully. There are all kinds of reasons, most of which are pretty negative, that a pastor would resign suddenly. And I'm so grateful to let you know that none of those are the reason that I'm resigning. I'm resigning with all of my relationships fully intact. I'm resigning full of energy, not from a place of being burnt out. And I'm resigning simply because I believe it's time. Because I believe that I have done the work that God called me to do in this space. And because now I think it's time for me to get out of the way for what's going to happen in this next season of leadership in the life of Living Grace Fellowship. I'm resigning because God has stirred up my heart to serve in some other ways, in some other spaces, and in an effort to lean into what God is doing in my life, I am following him where he leads. So I have resigned. I want to be clear though. While I'm resigning from the paid position of being the lead pastor here at this church, I am not resigning from my calling to do ministry work, to shout from the top of my lungs on the tops of rooftops that Jesus is Lord and that he loves you. I am not resigning from my relationships, the local ones with the folks here in my church who are my family, and internationally with our sister churches and our Grace Communion International community. I want you to know that regardless of whether or not I am working here as a full-time pastor or if I am not, I am yours to you and you are mine to me. And so our relationship continues. And so this is a time for us to be really, really excited about what God is doing. Every time we encounter an opportunity where God says, this is what's happening, and we're not 100% clear about what the future holds, that's a time for us to get excited. Because it means that we are submitting to God's will and plan. And it's a time where we have to exercise our faith, believing that God already has a plan for us. So I hope you're excited. I know I'm excited, and I know that the big question is, well, what happens now? And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. I know that right now we have an incredible transition team that we're building to help us navigate that. And that transition team has the support of the leadership team, which is a robust and really healthy and really strong team. And that team in our church has the support of our denomination. So we have a lot of support and a lot of challenge, but you know our mantra: high challenge and high support. Grace always. With that being said, I just want to close by showing my gratitude to several folks who have just been so instrumental in this time. And I want to start off by just celebrating and thanking our regional pastor, Pastor Tim Sitterly, who has been my supervisor, who has supported me, who has called me out and called me in, held me accountable, challenged me, and been there for me in some incredible ways. We're just so grateful to him. I'm so thankful to my predecessor, Pastor Mike Swaggerty, and his wife, Lady Sandy Swaggerty, for their support and their love and the way they set up this church to be successful. I'm grateful to our assistant pastor, Pastor Charlie Mitchell, and he would not like to be called a pastor, but that is what he is. And it has blown my mind how even in this time where he is dealing with some health issues, how he has been so available to serve in our church. I'm grateful to our financial team, Dan Cook and Linda Deppner, and to our leadership team, including Tim and Linda Wakely, and Mike and Janet Smith, Armin and Carolyn Reese, and David and Oksana Hauk, folks like Greg and Michelle Hayes, and Bill and Nancy Curtis, to Grant and Kyle and Emma, folks who have served so faithfully this church, folks like Russ and Deb and Meryl Stevens, Judy Parker, and of course my own parents, Arthur and Kairos Chiaji. And I want to thank you, the viewer, the participant, whether or not you're one of the folks who pre-pandemic was coming to our church every week and participating in that way, or whether you're a part of our virtual family who maybe lives in another city or another state or another country, but still tunes in and participates to the fullness of your ability. I want to thank our givers, our folks who just have supported our ministry in the most practical way financially. And I'll tell you, when the pandemic started, we weren't sure how that was going to impact our finances. But man, because of generous people like you, we have hit 100% of our giving, and in some weeks even exceeded that. And it's because of your generosity. And so I'm just so grateful. And what I would ask of you is that in whatever way that you show up for Living Grace Fellowship, that you continue to show up for Living Grace Fellowship. Because what we know is that Living Grace Fellowship is bigger than one pastor. It was bigger than Michael Swaggerty. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than whoever is coming after us. It is a ministry, and it is about what God is doing in the lives of the folks who are connected through this church. So keep showing up. Keep loving on each other. And I am excited because I believe that God is doing something incredible right here in the midst of you and I. I appreciate you. I love you.